Okay, welcome to Ron's podcast. This morning we are headed over the pass, over to eastern Washington, the Yakima. We are going on Highway 12. We're going to go through Packwood, Washington, which is a cute little town in the mountains. It blew up over the last decade. Amazing little cabins right before you get to White Pass Resort in the town of Packwood. And Packwood itself, the town is blown up as well with little pizza, like little bars, cute little places to stay. Really cool. And the Packwood, outside Packwood, just outside the town, there's a lot of VRBOs and cabins. A lot of firefighters and professionals just blew up that place. It has like the community swimming pool, the golf course, but it's more of that old school style, where all the homes and a little, not as, how do you say it? It's still clean and nice and beautiful, but it's not like that fancy country club style. It's more of like the old school country club style with the pools and the golf course, which no one really comes to except for the community there. And so I love Packwood. So we're going to be going through Packwood, over the past White Pass, a lot of passes today, past White Pass Resort. That's a fun place to ski. It's more woods and powder over the terrains of Snoqualmie and Stevens Pass ski resorts in Washington State. And then we'll get to Yakima. We're going to be looking at a multiplex I have listed there. I have a buyer interested, so I think this puppy's about to sell. So you get a tour with me today. It's overcast as usual in Washington State during the fall, winter. Blue skies here and there popping through, as you can see, over to the mountain range. I think when we get to the other side, it's going to be nice and clear on that side. And the temperature today is 62 degrees Fahrenheit. So in this podcast today with real estate, we're going to be going over a few different items. So I have 3 different items to cover today. Number 1 in real estate is with the location. When you're moving to a different state, I find this a lot. So we're going to hit location hard today. So let's just jump right into it. Please subscribe to my podcast if you've not. I know everybody says that, but I need to say it. Okay, here we go. So location's huge. Now let's start with the obvious one. If you're moving to a different state, if you're coming from East Coast, wherever you're coming to Washington State, or if I was to do it, put myself in the perspective of someone else's shoes, moving somewhere I didn't know, I would do a few main things. One, I'm going to do a lot of research online. I'm going to do if I have kids in school, I'm going to do the greatschools.org, review the schools. Now, this only helps a little bit, I found. Because when you do the greatschools.org, it doesn't give you the full perspective. Now, as realtors, we have to be extremely careful. We can't really push you one way or another. We can tell you to Google stuff. And I guess my best options or way to say this is I can give you my advice of, well, I would send my kids there, or, I wouldn't send my kids there because what's going on with the school boards right now, or the fighting, or all the drama I've heard behind the scenes from the firefighters and police officers I sell. That gives you a lot of insight of what the schools are. And I had one client that wanted to really hunt this school, and I let him know the insights of, hey, this is what I've heard of the knowledge I have of the school. And they were so thankful and understanding because it was the top ranking school, and it used to be. And those home prices in that location were like gold. But if you knew all the back drama of all the issues of fighting with the boards and the schools and the on staff and just all the issues they're going through at the school, you would think 3 times harder not to send your kid there. And it's a shame. It used to be a great school, but with all the stuff going on in our community, Olympia, and everybody likes to paint their community with a good picture, but to be honest, our community Olympia is going through a lot of reshaping, a lot of shifting. I think it's a lot of people moving up from San Fran, California, and other cities that are trying to escape some of the prosecution, whatever basically if they're gay or lesbian or whatever you say you are. Olympia is very open-minded. We are literally one of the top-ranked places to go where there is no judgment or anything like that. And so that school's getting bombarded with that, and some of the staff are trying to restrict at the school, a lot of stuff, and the kids are just fighting back. I think I even heard an instance of like cat litter in the bathrooms and litter everywhere because they're identifying as cats. So it's gone way crazy, at least due to a lot of people thinking that way. And to be frankly, you're supposed to be going to school to learn, not to be a cat and have a litter box in the bathroom because you think you're a cat, and just, my opinion, wow, just wow. So you won't find any of that, and maybe there are some reviews nowadays that I've posted on that. But if you're gonna go to a different place, one, you're gonna find a realtor. Number one, if you're gonna buy or anything, find the realtor that's gonna give you the inside information. They'll cut down on a lot of Googling, because I love to Google and research, but I want that realtor that knows it. They know the ins and outs. So you wanna make sure, one, they have kids if you have kids, because then they'll know all the stuff with the schools. Hence why we go to private school. We go to Northwest Christian school, our kids do, and we love it, absolutely love it. A little opposite the way with the religion, and yes, we are straightforward and honest and this and that, and so you get the pros and cons, but to be honest, it's clean, it's straightforward, it's standards, high quality of living, respect or education, and it's way above public. They're a grade above all the public schools with what they're reading and learning and everything else, and that's what we wanted. You have to give your kids the best advantage. So you need to talk to a realtor. So I saved one of my best friends' cousins moving to town, had no clue. He's like, wow, okay, where's your kids go to school? I'm like, here, we've done all the research. We're in town. We're boots deep in this. I will tell you where to go. But legally, as a realtor, we can't. We can give you our opinions or where to research or where I suggest, where our kids go and I like and why. So with that being said, moving to a different city, cut down on the Googling by picking a realtor that's going to cut down on all the process if your school located. Now, that's also going to help because they're going to tell you about there's water issues at a different location. Huge. I've met places in our state that have water issues. Did you know south of Olympia has salt water down there in the wells, and if you pick a wrong area and the wells aren't good, literally they're tapping into salt water because there used to be salt water 5 million years, now don't quote me on the age, but like Jurassic Park times. This used to be ocean beds out here in parts of Washington State. And so if the wells go down, they're hitting literally Jurassic Park saltwater stuff. I don't know if maybe you could make a business. Just snowball with me for a second. You get Jurassic Park saltwater from your well and you bottle it to facial stuff or creams or cleaning stuff. How cool is that? There's probably a business niche. I just thought of this. Sell Jurassic air age saltwater and bottle it because that's what you're getting from your well. Now that's great for a business idea, but for drinking water, it killed one of my clients and it sucked, and they had to drill another well, and then they had to do a whole filtration system to filtrate out all the water. They get 4 gallons per minute on the well, and if you're on a well system, you know that's really low. 4 gallons per minute. Should average be 20, at least 20. I'd love to see 20 gallons per minute for water pressure, and so you don't have to have a holding tank, up to 60 or more for gallons per pressure. Now this lake's really cool. I love this lake. If you're looking at the video right now, we're a bridge, water on both sides, lake goes underneath, trees are starting to turn yellow, which is beautiful, and there's houses hidden in the woods. Behind trees, all you see is the docks coming out. And this is a huge lake in the summer, and right now too. It's really cool. You can go fishing out here. Absolutely love this lake. So if you have a chance to buy out here on this, it's called Mayfield Lake, or Mayfield Park is over there as well. But if you're able to buy out here and find a home, do it. It's just gorgeous. I absolutely love out here on Mayfield Lake, and it gets busy in the summers too, water skiing, jet skiing, all that fun stuff. Okay, back to well. Now, I love wells if you have a home that you're out in the country or have well, because you're getting fresh, clean water. If it's not salt water, not Jurassic Park, that's straight from the source. You don't have any of the city filtration stuff or anything else, fluoride. I've read a lot of stuff. We actually put a filtration system on our city water itself because the water is hard iron. Plus, I want a filtration from the city. Who knows, right? I'm just a little more paranoid, but I don't want water coming from the city. If someone poisoned it or whatnot, at least hopefully I get rid of the poison with the filtration system. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But at least it makes me feel better that we're filtering it. And my wife loves it because we don't have hard water iron for her hair. So that's why we have the filtration system on the city. But the well's nice. It's free water. You're not paying for it. It's clean and so forth. But you need to know certain areas. If I didn't know I'm moving the area and, oh, by the water, where you're looking over there is bad water, you got to be careful with the well systems, that would suck. So that's the whole point of calling the realtor is I tell you, nope, just you got to watch what's the cautionary watches. So that's where it cuts down your Googling time again. So cautionary watches of water, swamp, like wetlands out here. So you got to be careful. Oh, that land looks great. I'd love to build there. Well, you really can't because it's all wetlands, or you may only be able to build on an acre of it, or I've found a piece of land, 40 acres, gorgeous. You could only build on 2 of the 40 acres and the rest is wetlands. And then 2, if we want to build a shop or a barn or roam around the property, that's not fun. You don't want to put your wet boots on and go out in a bog. And it wasn't all like that, but still, that's not what you're trying to buy. I want woods that I can roam the whole part of the woods and go explore. And so cuts down Googling time, because before you move to a place, I want to Google everything about it. The schools, the locations, the towns, where I'm going to work, where the restaurants are, what's going on with the town, what's the politics like, what's the building, everything. So that realtor is going to cut down on 50% of your Googling before you go out to that city. Now that's part 2. You've done all the Googling, you've done all the research, you've talked to a realtor. He's giving you all the information of what to Google, what to take a look at, and so forth. After that is boots on the ground. You need to get out there and you need to take a look at where you're moving to. One, are you even going to like it? I mean, you've done all the Googling, the pictures look great, but we know pictures. It's nice. Oh, one of these homes right here on the right-hand side was coming up for auction. I think it was that yellow house there that came up with the barn with like an acre. Don't quote me. No, maybe it wasn't that one. Maybe it's coming up further here. But there's one that's an auction home cash that had like an acre, a few acres, looked a little rougher, but was a great buy. This is a cute little town here as well. We're coming up to Mossy Rock, little cemetery overlooking the field lands. You got the trees out here. We're gonna see a lot of, I'm not sure if the hunters are driving out today, but hunting season's open for deer. So I got some friends coming out to Packwood for hunting this weekend. Okay, so you're going to need to go boots on the ground. So if you're going to come explore the town, all the pictures may look great. Hey, the restaurants look great. And you get there and you realize not your vibe, not your energy. And I think that's huge, because the energy has to match with the town. And everybody's like, what do you mean energy? I'm like, when you feel that energy of not stressful, not awkward, not creepy, just, hey, this is cool. This is calm. I like this city. I like this town. I can see myself living here. I can see myself driving here to the coffee shops, or coming to the bars for a date night with the wife, or going to this hardware store with the kids and we're loading up the shopping cart. You have to really envision yourself there and how you interact with the town and the city, because last thing you want to do is move to a place and you're like, oh, I don't want to go into town, or oh, I don't want to go to the restaurants, or I just want to hibernate in my house. Now that's okay if you are a hibernator. If you go to your house and just hibernate like a grizzly bear and don't go out, and all you need is the essentials, well, then all you need to make sure is if Instacart or Uber Eats or whatnot bring you food. Sure, I mean, we had neighbors that I don't think they ever left the home. When they did, it was once or twice forever. These were old neighbors ago, and it was crazy. And they just had Uber Eats and Instacarts constantly. So if that's your case, then we shouldn't be having a discussion. You can pretty much buy anywhere, as long as you hit your key stuff. I guess maybe no income tax, because Washington State's no state income tax. But anyways, if you're not like that, which is the rest of us, you want to make sure you gel or like that town. So I always recommend going, if you're moving within a year, let's say you're a year out, then go twice. Go in the summer and go in the winter, because you want to see what it's like in both seasons. If you go all 4 seasons, even better. If you can visit and stay for an extended week and then really see, I mean, that's what you want to know. Like Washington State and down in Olympia area and around there, we have the military base, and they do artillery practices and all this stuff. So there's big booms that shake the house. Some people aren't used to that, and it freaks them out, and they're like, what is going on? That's the military practicing. Do you know about that? I mean, and they put posts and military posts and different posts on Instagram, Facebook, social, like, hey, artillery firing this day or night, or sometimes you'll see the parachuting, or they'll see the night flares. Once in a while you'll see these big red flares. I'm sure they're lighting up, I don't know military jargon, lighting up the fields for activities they're doing. If you do know, post or comment on here why they're doing the night flares. I'm sure moving troops or who knows what, field practice. But you want to get out there and see the city. Now, if you do fall in love with it and you're like, yes, this is where I'm moving, you've done the research online, you've talked to a realtor, you've nailed down your 50% of the area you want to look at, on one of those visits, most likely your last visit or the visit you're going to now make a decision on buying a home, you talk to that realtor and be like, all right, we've narrowed down the search areas. Here's kind of what we're looking for with the house. You need to know specifics on that house with the locations, okay? Because some locations, like in Washington State, you're not going to find too many modern homes. Like, we just don't. We're having new neighborhoods that are cookie cutters. So if you're okay with cookie cutter neighborhoods, you're going to find new homes. Other than that, there's really no private home builders out here. I mean, there is, but they're all kind of little cookie cutter neighborhoods. You can find a private home builder to build you a custom home. But in our county, the realtor is going to tell you, well, our county takes about a year for permits and all this other stuff just to start building. So you're looking at a year timeline of maybe a year and a half to 2 years until your home is done. So 2 years, imagine, from the time you start to completion if it's a nice custom home. You got to factor that in. You can't just move and say, oh, I'll buy this piece of land. I'm going to build a house in 6 months and permitting is only going to take a month or two. No, our county is one of the strictest, along with like King County and Pierce County, Seattle, and they know that. They're trying to fix that, they say, but it's still, talk to any builder, it's going to drive you crazy. So you have to factor that in. Maybe you're 2 years out. Maybe you don't move for 2 years. You find your piece of land, you build your custom home, and 2 years you move, and that's great if things don't change, demographics, economy, everything like that. So that really restricts, okay, custom home builds, except for ones that pop up and they always seem to fly. So now you're stuck with either cookie cutters or you have older homes here. You know, we have 1980s, 90s, some early 2000s, or the older neighborhoods with a little more space. But if you're wanting more space in an older neighborhood, you're either looking at an older home that you're going to have to update. Simple as that. All of them. I keep seeing them. I can go through a list right now of 50 homes that would sell in a second if they were updated. And that's the problem with it, is it's expensive to update right now. One, the contractors are all up in Seattle, or if they are down here, are they any good? Yes, there's some good ones, absolutely. But you're gonna pay for it, hand over foot. I have a doctor right now, a friend, helps sell a home. I'm gonna help sell his parents' home, nice neighborhood, and it's costing them a fortune, a fortune. All right, if you're looking at the video right now, we're going over a bridge, over a high bridge, a few hundred feet above the river that was going to the Mayfield Lake. Trees down the valley, and the yellow trees look amazing. They stopped to, I guess they're doing some construction on the bridge right now, so we had to stop. And it's just, we're starting to get more into the mountains, more into the country and the woods, as you'll see from the video. Looks like a tree farm on the right and left-hand side here, which is really cool. And they definitely look like fir trees, so Christmas trees. Anyways, we're just going to be taking this road all the way over the pass. We'll probably stop in Packwood for some lunch. We'll probably have a part 3, 4 episodes here because I'm going to break them up. But back to what I was saying. If you are starting to understand the area that you're buying in, the homes, so the demographics, okay? So I have no new home builds. It's all going to be renovations. So you're going to have to buy an older home if you want land and do renovations, or if it's done, the renos, and it somewhat meets your standards, because it's never always going to meet your style or standards. But the home's being updated, one, it's going to sell faster, and it's going to be more for a premium, because that's what everybody's wanting. Besides the neighborhood and cookie cutters, neighborhoods are either older or need to be updated. If they're updated, they sell quicker, again, same as the big land. And the cookie cutters, they're all newer, so that's easy. But you smaller lots, we're talking 8,000 to 12,000 square foot lots. If you know that, that's half a quarter acre at 12,000. You know, an acre is 43,560 square feet. So half of that and so forth for your land size. So you can do the math. So with that being said, give your realtor, if you're moving to Olympia, now you know the demographics. Okay, well, at least I want this minimum size of land. Because I always start with land first, because that's going to tell me what style of home you're looking. If you don't mind a small neighborhood and small backyard, and you want new, then good, we're going cookie cutter. Or if you want newer, then I can maybe find it in these neighborhoods that have a little bit bigger of yard, but I know have been renovated, you know, because they're only in 10-year neighborhoods, or maybe that 10-year neighborhoods do meet your standard for a newer style home. So it helps me narrow down where we can actually look. with the land size. Then you can narrow down, okay, how new of home do you want? What updates do you want? Do you want to update or not? And so forth. And if you are handy, if you have a minimum amount of, yes, you can put in a toilet, yes, you can put in a cabinet structure and sink, and some of the plumbing stuff, fine, you can hire a plumber. Some of the electrical, you can hire electrical, but you can put the fixtures up yourself, or you can at least do drywall or frame out or do flooring. So if you can do a lot of the basics, and I say basics because it's still hard, it's still finish work. Even trim is hard if you don't know how to do trim properly, and then have it painted, and then silicone the trim onto the drywall, and then have it painted, sanded, mud, all that stuff with the trim. It's tough, and it's, but as long as you can do the basics and make it look good, I always recommend doing an ROI, rate on investment. Buy an older home that you can buy for cheaper. And like I was saying, it's going to be cheaper. And if you need land, great, you can buy it with land, or without land, you can buy it in the neighborhoods, the older neighborhoods. And you can come in and fix it up, paint it, do it yourself. You're going to not only save a lot of money doing it yourself, which, as we all know, but you're going to make a lot of money in return, because if you ever do go to sell and you say, hey, Ron, we now do want more land, or hey, Ron, you know what, Washington State's not for us with the rain, the politics, the demographics, or whatever. I'm just throwing out a lot of things that you could pick, and every state has that, so it's not just Washington State. But if you can do that, you're not only going to make a great return on your investment when you go to sell, but it saves you a lot of money when you buy, so that gap's even bigger. That's huge. So you're moving to a new state. Again, now we can pick the home that you want. That'll allow me to pick the areas. I can show you the areas now with the neighborhoods or the land. Boots on the ground, go look, and then finally you can buy the home. Simple as that. Now, I say simple as that because now looking is the fun part. Now you go around and look, you've narrowed down the searches, you can pick. Your realtor, like myself, will give you the best advice on, hey, this location's been booming year over year for 10 years. This location just started to boom. Hey, the trend is more people are moving this way or not. But that's the whole point of my job, is to let you know, worst case scenario, if you have to pull that parachute ripcord and move or sell or something goes on, you want to make sure that money is going to still be there on that investment. Last thing you want to do is buy, and I'll give you a scenario. Clients bought with another agent. Not me, they move into town, they bought with another agent outside of town, about an hour south of Olympia. Way out in the country, gorgeous country. I mean, you can look over the mountains, down in the valley, has an amazing creek behind it. I mean, in my opinion, beautiful. A little too close to neighbors, but when I say a little too close, you can see the neighbors' homes, but it's not that close, but still, in my opinion, for 10 acres, I want to be out in the woods. I want to be out in the country. But they bought for $850,000 bidding war during COVID. They're selling, need to get out of there, don't like the country, realize too far away, grocery stores 20 minutes away, realize conveniences, major ones are 45 minutes to an hour away. They are taking a huge loss because of the location, because of COVID, because they overpaid, but location, 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 as I preach. So my advisement, if anybody's coming in town, is realize, look, stuff sells a lot slower out here. Two, this is way overpriced if we're pricing stuff. Now, COVID had a little special bidding war caveat, so who knows, even myself, I would have been well, this is the going rate right now. Are you wanting to pay that going rate? But be cautious, you're going to have to do a 5-year hold. These folks have only been in there a year and a half, 2 years. If they did a 5-year hold, it may have caught up to that price that they actually paid for during COVID. But the catch is, are you going to be here for 5 years minimum? Because no home, unless it's in a high, busy area, mostly in the city, not the county or the country, that you're going to be able to turn it fast within 2 years and do that flip. You need to be in busy busy residential places, more inside. Now, some county places, country places, you can it's just a basically crap box, like I was saying, you did the ROI where you came and fixed it up, then absolutely. Then you could have possibly, if they got it for a steal, you got it for $400, you put $100 into it, you're at $500, and now we're penning around $700, then yeah, you made $200,000. But that wasn't the case. They bought it at the height. It was at a premium. There was no ROI, to put in there besides paint and some little updates here and there. So that's where they got stuck and pinched. And that's where you need to realize, what you're buying, where you're going with that location, and doing your research, and then talking to that realtor again of saying, give me the demographics of the area of what's on fire, what's not on fire. And I clap because that's the point of our job. So moving to Olympia, pick your realtor, nail down, condense of where you're going to do the Google search. Take away 50% of it so you can narrow down what you're searching for. After that, do your research. After that, boots on the ground, go look at the places and say, yeah, this is where I want to move. Great, go with the realtor, go find the homes and neighborhoods, pick the neighborhood that one suits your needs for your long-term, short-term, for the style that you want to live in and your conveniences of location where you're at, and you will get a solid home. But you have to do all the research and you have to do all the work. If you just wing it, there's no guarantee on the back end if you ever do need to sell that you, one, will get your money back, two, it may take a while, or three, if you have to cash out, like some people that just bought out and winging it, you're gonna lose. And that's location. That's what I preach about location. That's just a brief snippet of more of what you need to do on the details of when you're looking for a home, at least moving to Washington, Olympia, Washington, or in my opinion, anywhere. That's what you need to focus on, is how you're going to do the research, how you're going to narrow down the searches, how you're going to catapult and use yourself as using a realtor to use their information to narrow down your searches, and then go on energy and feelings and what makes sense to you and what you're doing for work and where you're going to be looking for. Because out here, it's beautiful. This country out here is gorgeous off this Highway 12. I mean, we're going to Morton right now, and we're in small little logging towns, country out here. I mean, you are full out in country. So if you have kids, schools aren't going to have that many kids, so it may not be the best atmosphere. If your kids love it out here in the woods and they don't need much, then here you go. And if you want hiking, or if you're homeschooling, then this may be the place for you. Now, we don't have much in Morton either. I mean, they have a grocery store, I believe. They got a Subway. I always stop at the Subway once in a while when I'm going up hunting. And that's about it. And then we're heading to Packwood, which is smaller yet till you get to the mountains. But it is gorgeous out here. The fields, the mountains, the trees. We're starting to get more in the foothills, but you can see the foothills are getting taller and taller because we're coming up to the Cascades where we'll be crossing the pass. And you have rivers and creeks and lakes all around you, and not that many people. So you're buying bigger chunks of land, but the resale on these moves slower. It just is, unless it's updated and unless you got it for a good price, unless you're going to stay out here for 5 years. So you're going through that whole process of location, researching, and what you're looking for. Now, some people are retiring out here, actually a lot of people, and they love it. They absolutely love it. They don't mind, driving in once a week for your groceries, or driving to Morton if you need something for a little bit. Some salt or pepper or extra eggs. Although if you're out here, you're going to have your own chickens, or a neighbor is going to have chickens for eggs. And I will be honest, it's so much better than the store-bought chickens. We absolutely love our chickens. And we're going to get chickens. We moved, so we got rid of our chickens to a nice family that was actually going to keep them like pets like we were. They had 5 kids, so that was great. So with researching with your home, that information I gave you on how to start your research wherever you're going to move is gold. And then beyond top of that, I can niche that down to any degree you want with any preference you want, and I will give you the resources on how to niche that down more, how to Google, how to find the key resources. If you're moving to Olympia, who's the well guy to talk to? Oh, you're going to build, here's the builders. Oh, you're going to need a septic because you're building out in the country, because most likely you're not buying a city lot. If you are, then I know that's easier. Just connect to the sewer with your builder. With the septic company, they'll connect to the sewer for you. But I will give you the septic, because we only have like one septic guy. We have a few well guys, but there's only top well guy that I'm going to recommend. There's only one septic or two septic. No, there's one septic design, few septic companies that I'll recommend. Did Subway still there? I don't even think Subway's still there at that gas station. See, there you go. Now there is a lumber mill there and lumber, so you can build. The Subway's gone. All right, just joking. So with all of that being said, after you do all the research, you get your location, what's next for you? You buy the home, that's great, but the process of buying the home is really negotiating, because you need to do the best negotiating. And that's where, again, you need to pick the right realtor. My skills in negotiating, phenomenal. If I don't and I can step outside and look and how I've negotiated and the deals I've done and take a third person look at it, I, behind the scenes, negotiate like a shark. Now, I don't overstep where you burn the deal, but we need to make sure that you're getting the best deal as the buyer. And we can find those weak points by different degrees and way that we can attack And I mean attack, I mean negotiate to get you the best deal. And I can go into so much detail, but we know we want to move to the country. Let's just create a scenario here. We want to move to the country and we're way out there. Now you want to retire out here and this is what you love. We're using Morton because we're driving through the mountains right now, through the pass, trees. Oh, look at that, a tree, all the leaves are off. Looks like the old Sleepy Hollow tree there, kind of. And trees are falling, colors are changing. It's beautiful fall starting out here. So we're going to use this countryside as the example today for this. And we've all been on these country roads. We're way out here, we're a single lane. I'm stuck behind a logging truck right now with all the wood. There goes a car trying to pass him right now. Will he make it? Well, I mean, I hope he makes it. I don't want to be dealing with that. The Subaru had to gun it. And then they brake immediately when they pass the truck. Don't do that. Get over in the lane, go for a little bit, then brake. Don't slam on your brakes in front of the semi. Anywho, so we're going to pick out here in the country. So if we're going to negotiate out here in the country and you want to come out here and retire out here in the country, awesome. Now the seller doesn't know that. They may think, oh, you were just buying out here. The agent may think, oh, you're just picking out here because maybe this is all you can afford. And that may be true. If this is all you can afford, fine. But if their home's been on, which remember, homes out in this country are part of the state, stay on longer because there's not as much of a demand because you're out here. I mean, we're overlooking the valley of farmland and old barns and rusty buildings and power line running through here. And then you have hay and horses. And if this is your cup of tea, absolutely. We have a cool barn here with stars on it and just woods and mountains and foothills, and you can go up in the woods and hunt, and there's a logging spot behind it that's been hunted. I mean, that's what it is. It's amazing, but there's not much demand. So we're going to use that as an advantage to negotiate. Now, you may love this home and it's your dream home. The sellers don't know that, and so we can use that as your advantage to negotiate and say, wow, it's been on the market forever. You know, you don't have much demand. It's going slower. We're going to offer you this price. Now, sellers will do one of two things. They'll stick with their guns, or they'll say, yeah, let's give you that price. They may try to negotiate a little bit off, but you have to negotiate. You always have to. If you just offer full price, I mean, you may have to really want it to say, we'll just take it, full price, not going to negotiate. And it may be a situation where it just came on the market, then that's fine. But if it's been sitting for a while, why not negotiate and take advantage of a $50K price reduction or a $20K at least? Save some money. Now, sometimes a listing agent always says, oh, we just got another offer right when you made an offer. The likelihood of this, in my experience, is very slim. Have I seen it? Yes, I've actually seen it a few times, but I've heard it hundreds of times, and I've only seen it in reality a few times where there actually was an offer. And we get around that with offering an escalation clause. Now, they don't have to accept an escalation clause, but what that does show is if we do an escalation clause, they have to prove and show the other offer and the offer's price with our escalation clause for them to accept our offer. Now, escalation clause is saying we'll go over this certain amount to this price and beat the other offer by this amount. That's how we fight that. Now, sometimes the agents say, well, we don't want to deal with escalation clauses. Well, then this more proves that maybe they actually don't have another offer because they won't have that other offer to prove against our escalation clause. Or sometimes, like myself, I don't like escalation clauses either if I'm on the listing side, but I just say, give me your highest and best. Well, that hurts you sometimes because then they may try to call your bluff and then they won't go as high. So it's sometimes better or prudent to accept escalation clause if you're the listing agent. And then as a buyer, then you can prove that, oh, they really did have another offer, even though it's been on the market 90 days. And of course, what's the odds of both buyers coming in? And that's where I go with energy stuff, drawing people to certain places. And if you have certain energy, and maybe it's drawing those people, of course, at that time and everything else, and that happens. So now you got to kind of fight for the property. But most likeliness is it's been on 90 days, whatever, let's get a discount. Let's offer $50,000 because remember, country, slower pace, let's go ahead and get a discount. 2, after negotiating and you get a discount, let's say you offer $50,000 less and we get $25,000 off the price. Great. Round 2, as I always say, is during the home inspection. You do the home inspection. Older home, remember, unless you're paying for that brand new home that's been updated and remodeled, now you're probably overpaying for it because there is not many out here. So it's an older home, you're going to find a bunch of stuff wrong. And I mean a bunch of stuff. Now, anything crazy, as long as it's not foundation, major electrical, major plumbing, major, sometimes you need a sump pump in a home. I hate sump pumps, run. If the home's in a low level water line where it means water pools in the bottom of your home in your crawl space, and you need a pump to actually pump the water out of your crawl space from pooling in there, I don't like sump pumps. My opinion is run. Now there's some low-lying areas where the home's there and it has a sump pump. Fine, if you really love the home and you want to deal with it, great. I don't want water under my crawl space that needs to be pumped out. That's just my personal preference. But you can find all this stuff. Now hopefully they disclose that they have a sump pump before you get to inspection, so we don't have to go through all the negotiating and you don't have to find that out later, and you find that out before you make an offer. Again, that's on the realtor doing their research for you while you're looking up the home. Remember, that's our job. I've seen realtors sell homes, seen them, multiple realtors sell homes that didn't know they had internet, didn't know that they needed a certain type of internet, all this other stuff. Now, thank goodness for Starlink now with Tesla or whatever the heck his name is, Elon Musk made Starlink, so that makes internet a lot better. But if you're buying a home and the agent didn't know that it didn't have internet, why did you ever use that agent? But again, you know, your friends or this or that, and I've seen not one, but 3 or 4 buyers do that now with agents that had no clue it had internet or needed this really crappy internet company out there. But again, thank goodness for Starlink to save the day for realtors that other people use that don't do their due diligence to help the buyers. Just blows my mind. But that realtor should have known if there was a sump pump in there. So before you get started saying, hey, do you really want a house with a sump pump? If you love the home, you're like, we don't mind, then great, game on. Let's move forward buying it. Now, with buying that home, you, during the inspection, can renegotiate. So we find a handful of a bunch of stuff that needs to be fixed. I'm going to use my agent, Corey, as a good example. He's amazing at negotiating inspections, and so am I. But he had one that had like 56 items that needed to be repaired, like little electrical GFCIs always run up. GFCIs, you know, where if they're by a water source, they have to have the button that pops off so it cuts electric go into the GFCI, the outlets, you know, so it doesn't cause electrical issue, explosion, fire. There's a lot of those little items. The bathroom sink leaks. You know, there's no drywall on the crawl space in the attic, in the garage, so it needs some fire prevention. I mean, I can go through a list. He got a whole 56. The seller agreed to do all of them. Yeah, sure, I'll take care of all of them. There you go. That's renegotiating for you. And so when we do the inspection, we either ask them to fix all the stuff. Now, sometimes you don't, because some of my buyers like to just get a credit back. So they get a credit off the purchase price, or they get a credit towards a flooring company. So the flooring company is going to come put in $8,000 worth of flooring. Well, now they get to pick the flooring company, and they get that credit to do that during the inspection or after the inspection before you close. That's renegotiating. So not only did we get a chunk of money off the offer, but now we got a chunk of money during the home inspection period where we renegotiated with the seller back and forth. Now the seller could say, I'm not doing anything, remember, and you could either decide to move forward or cancel the deal and you'd get your earnest money back. But most likely, if you've gone through this far process and the home's been on 90 days, you're out in the country, they don't move fast, and you've already negotiated the price off, and you're in the inspection, most of the time the sellers are like, well, I'm not doing anything during the inspection. I guarantee you they will, because you've already gone this far. They've already spent their money in their head because they're already moving somewhere else. They're out. And now for you to pull that cord and say, well, if you don't do these things, we're going to cancel a deal, they're going to be like, oh crap, there goes their dreams of moving somewhere else, probably sunny, probably who knows where, retire down to Florida or Arizona, like a lot of Washingtons do after they get tired of the rain. And so if you pull that card, they're going to say, oh wait, well, we will do this, this, and this. And so you're at least getting another $5,000 to $10,000 off. Or if there is major stuff, you're getting all that fixed because one, maybe your loan won't close on the deal, or two, I mean, who would buy it anyways? So they need to fix it anyways. So that's how you renegotiate to get the second tier price. Now, with all that said and done, once you get the home and we go ahead and move forward, all the repairs are done, the credits are given, the flooring's going to be installed at closing or before closing for you, but normally it's after closing, and you've picked your flooring and stuff. Then, and there's a caveat with that too, which I need to dive into with another podcast on how to deal with those credits and closing with those credits, because it's not as simple as that. I've been doing it enough where I've dealt with USDA HUD home loans, FHA loans, and credits of all sorts, and they've changed a lot of that credit stuff for flooring and stuff. So I'd have to go in more detail. Now I'm doing one right now again, and so there's a way to do it that's legal, but it's a lot of work, so I have to tell you about that. So, but I can negotiate all that for you. And that's the whole point of finding a competent, amazing realtor that has all the knowledge, that's done all those experiences, that doesn't just sell you a home with no internet. Now, with that being said, you get all that secondary negotiating. Now you move forward to close on the home. We make sure everything's done, all the contracts, all the credits are there, and you close on the home. The nice thing about this is you can start doing the work or get all the flooring in and everything, get some new paint, get some new ROI, because remember, we bought this, it's a little dated, it's in the country. You take 6 months and you update it and you work on it and you make this thing shine. Most likely you're buying in this end of summer, maybe in spring or fall, but depending on when you're buying, if you buy in the beginning of spring, it's going to be the end of summer, it's still going to look beautiful. If you're buying in the end of fall, it's going to be spring, summer by the time you're done with your repairs. You go to refinance. Why? Because once you refinance, if you get a better rate, great. If you're at an amazing rate right now, don't refinance. But I like to refinance, one, to get a better rate, but two, it shows you how much equity you have in your house because you had an appraisal done. Now, you can buy appraisal off market and not worry about the refinance, but there's really no point to do the reappraisal. You could get an agent to come in and give you a free CMA, but it's not as good as what the bank will do with an actual appraisal. But with the refinance, it'll show you, hey, your home just appraised for X and X amount. Well, that's $300,000 more than we just paid by doing all this ROI, our own building, our own stuff. Great, now you have $300,000 equity in there. Do we want to take out up to, remember, 80% of that? So you can take out now $150,000, go buy a rental. Or now you want to build a barn or a pool or whatever, you have the equity in there. Yes, you're paying for it, but you're paying for it at what, 6%, 7%, 5%, whatever you negotiate with the bank or get with the bank on that refinance. That's great. And it shows how much equity. You may do nothing but just refinance and get a lower rate. Well, good. And it shows that, hey, we just made $300,000 by fixing this house up, buying out in the country, doing this, and now we can turn and burn it if we needed to pull that ripcord and maybe even, hear me out, upgrade to a bigger home or a better home, because now you pull away. Now, if you have to be in there 2 years before paying capital gains. So maybe you say, oh, we've been in 6 months, but we know in a year and a half, the market still stays somewhat okay. We've just made a good chunk of money. And so that's why I'm a big believer in buying older homes, coming up, doing the fixing up yourself, taking care of it, and making it re-shine, especially if you can do the basics. And a lot of that information's on YouTube right now, or podcasts like this teaching you, hey, this is how you go ahead and go about buying a great location and a great home and making some money with renegotiating and getting some good purchases. And then 3, if you don't know where you want to move, we're circling back to location, because we've done location, we've done deals on how to buy a deal. If you don't know where you want to move, but you want to move to Washington State, call the realtor again and say, hey, what's the biggest booming places? Or, hey, I'm really into mountain biking and skiing. Well, you're out here. Do you need to work remote or not remote? Well, remote. Well, great. You can come out here. Kids or no kids? No kids. Even better. Come out to Packwood. Buy a beautiful home. Now, I think Packwood's a little overpriced right now. Well, let's find a deal where you can either build, because it's harder to build out here, but if you build a new home out here, it's like it's weight in gold again. Or 2, can you find an older home out here that's not overpriced that you can sink your money into? And there's some auction homes out here as well. Oh, what's auctions? Well, let me teach you about how to buy auction homes with cash, if you have cash, or a hard money loan, or even some of them will let you do a loan, but most of them, to be honest, that's very rare and few. Here's a Huff and Puff. It's multicolored, it has great food. It's hamburgers and fried food and all that stuff. Little drive-through. We're just driving past a Huff and Buff. And here's Ash Construction that's doing the log cabin homes, which is awesome. So if you haven't seen that, you can come out here and get a log cabin built, lumber place again, but we're driving through this cute little town, Chevron, believe it or not, and it's a spur where you can take down a road south to go towards Mount St. Helens. Good hunting that way before we get to Packwood. Okay, enough about where we're at, but the third is, how can we buy the home in a good location? If you don't know the location, have the agent suggest a few locations, few locations, and say, well, what are you into? What do you prefer? What's your job situation like? And then go from there, because then you can start picking places you never would have thought of. Leavenworth. Now, Leavenworth's great. It's in the mountains. It's a cute little German town that has Oktoberfest is off the chain, but people love it. And I talked to Dad at the soccer field. Our sons are playing soccer together, and he has a buddy that's on the board up there, and he's like, everybody's athletic. The dads, the kids are athletic. They're like on ski teams and rock climbing, and they make everybody else look like, amateurs, the way they're all in all these outdoor sports. If that's your jam and you are into rock climbing, skiing, snowshoeing, just everything, that may be your outdoor place. And you can go all the way up to Winthrop along the mountains, all the way to Twisp, to all these little cool mountain towns. That may be who you are. But did you think of that or not? You may have actually researched and found some of that yourself, but the agent will re-solidify, and that realtor will acknowledge that, yeah, those places are great. Hey, some of the stuff is starting to slip on prices in this location, or maybe there's better deals here, or have you checked out this location? And I've given people coming even from Florida, doing reverse retiring, coming this way, and told them different places, gave them a map of where to drive and do like the full circuit around Washington State, from the Cascades to the Olympics to Olympia through Seattle up to Bellingham. And they did a full circuit to pick their town because they didn't know. And I've sold in all those towns, all of them. So I was like, well, here's what I think of all these locations. Here's my opinions. Use that and really niche down your town. And then, are we looking for more rate of return? Or are we looking for more convenience and retirement and not worried about as much of the cash if I have to pull the parachute? Where are we at with everything? And that's going to be, again, picking the right realtor. So I keep reiterating, retelling you that, but it's that free resource of finding the realtor that's making these blogs, these podcasts, these videos, these YouTube stuff, to show you, to tell you, like, look, this is the way to get ahead. This is the way to get ahead in real estate. And if it's investment based, if you really want to get a really good investment, then let me show you the auction sites. Let me show you the ways to go to buy those auction homes. That'll be part 2. We'll go over auction homes. We'll go over location with auction homes, how to get funding for the auction homes, and then where to look for auction homes, not only in Washington State, but where I'm seeing really good deals right now, because there's a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of podcasts saying where to sell, where to buy right now across the nation. And I'm going to hit on to that as well. All right, we're passing the ranger stations right now, Kellett's Ranger Station. Here's the high school, the White Pass High School. Now this looks like literally out of a scene from like Red Dawn. You have the football field here, you have the school that overlooks the main road. The elementary school right there as well, and it's just cool. The kids are outside playing. You have the trees in the mountains behind you. You have a main logging road running through town, and this is your school, and all the windows look out in the main road like that Red Dawn scene, and you have the football in the high school there. It's awesome. You have the Randall one-stop gas station across the street, the dental clinic right here, the auto body shop right there as well, and this is your town. Welcome to White Pass High School right there, and it's in between, Packwood and Randall and White Pass and Morton, and so everything's coming to the high school. Here's the lumber mill right here where they're dropping off the wood, manufacturing the 2x4s and everything, and then shipping it out. So you may be working for the lumber mill. It says career opportunities on the side, apply now. So if you're looking for a new start, you want to go to lumber mill and log yard right here, and you want a cool old school Red Dawn high school without people hopefully attacking the city, and you're in the mountains, you love hunting, fishing, skiing, outdoor activities, this is your place to come and hang out. There's a Shady Firs RV park, RV park. If you're bringing your RV park to start, it doesn't get more country than starting out this direction, going to the Cascades. You're going to find, the rock faces on the mountains over here are just freaking awesome. So you're going to find a really cool place. You have the Surrey Creek running through town right here. Definitely did not look high with water level, and it's old school cowboy country with Cascade Mountains. So if you're picking country, you want location, you want a good realtor, call me. I will go over all this in detail. As you can tell, I love to talk. I love real estate. I love descriptions of doing all this. My next one is definitely going to be on investments. My wife said I had to because while I was chatting her ear off Sunday night during football Sunday while we sat there, and we just talked about investments and all these new investments I found where you give me $100,000 and I'll make you 15% return like that with $100,000 on a home that just sold today on auction. Yeah, it's just crazy. And there's the bigger river if you're looking at the video on the right hand side that has the big I forget what river that's called. Is that the Packwood River? Or I have no clue what river that's called. My map's not showing me, so no clue on river, but someone's going to be like, Ron, that's the Randall, or I have no clue what river that is. Anyways, if you know what river that is, where I'm passing on the right-hand side, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this video, what you'd like to hear about with talking more of, and then we'll go from there. And we'll do part 2 coming up in another 15 minutes here.